Have you ever felt like you were just screaming into the void when you apply for
Oh,
jobs?
absolutely. It's the worst.
Right. Like you are sitting there, you look at a job description, and you just know you have the exact skills they want.
Yeah, you meet all the
You have the
criteria.
decade of experience, you click submit, and then nothing. Just automated silence.
Or that generic rejection email that arrives at like 2 in the morning.
Oh, man, yeah. The one that proves a human never even glanced at your application.
Exactly. It is this uniquely modern frustration. And, it is entirely different from being rejected after an interview.
Because at least there you had a shot. Right.
Right. You aren't being turned down for a lack of ability here. You are simply, well, you're not being perceived by the system at all.
Which is actually the perfect jumping off point for what we are tackling today. We're going deep into the modern hiring gap of 2026.
It is a massive topic right now.
It really is. And we've got a huge stack of research today. Specifically, we have this fascinating case study from the platform Rezit.io, and that is backed up by data from LinkedIn, Indeed, McKinsey, and the U.S. Office of Personnel Management.
Some really heavy hitters in the data.
For sure. So our mission today is to take a really high-energy, kind of career hacker perspective. We want to decode exactly why perfectly qualified candidates are getting filtered out by today's systems.
And more importantly, how to crack the code.
Exactly. How to actually beat it. So to anchor all of this data, we need to look at the protagonist of that Rezit.io case study. Her name is Linda.
Right. And Linda, she represents really the quintessential modern professional facing this totally baffling 2026 job market.
Yeah, she is the ideal test case for this. She's a senior marketing professional, nearly a decade of heavy-hitting experience.
We're talking growth marketing, performance marketing, brand strategy that works.
Right. If you were building a marketing team today, Linda is the rock star candidate you want to anchor your whole department. On paper, she is a slam dunk.
But in reality, her job search had completely stalled out. Just hit a brick wall.
Despite consistent applications to roles that were objectively extremely well matched to her background.
Yeah, she was getting zero traction. I mean, no interview invitations, no feedback loop, just radio silence.
She was forced into this weird existential corner, asking herself, like, if my experience is objectively solid, why isn't it translating into even a single conversation? Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Let's just bypass the basics here. We all know what an applicant tracking system is, right? We know software filters resumes before humans see them.
Right. That isn't new. That is totally 2010s knowledge.
Exactly. What we need to explore is the 2026 reality of this machine. Like, what exactly is the dual reality creating this specific modern hiring gap for someone as insanely qualified as Linda?
Well, the gap exists because of a really fundamental evolution in how the gatekeepers operate now. And I mean both the artificial and the human gatekeepers.
You could break that down for me.
So first, the 2026 AI-driven applicant tracking systems. They are no longer just looking for basic criteria.
Like, they aren't just scanning for keywords anymore.
No, not at all. They are running complex diagnostic evaluations on the text itself. And this happens before a human is even notified you applied.
Wow.
And then second, the human recruiters who do eventually see those filtered lists, they are operating under, honestly, unprecedented cognitive load.
Just massive time pressure.
Exactly. They're scanning rapidly for ultra-clear, high-fidelity, role-aligned signals. They don't have time to read between the lines.
So it's like you were driving a top-of-the-line sports car, right?
Oh, okay, I like this.
But the electronic toll booth sensor is looking for a really specific type of barcode you just don't have on your windshield.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how fast or expensive the car is. The gate simply isn't going to open.
That is the perfect analogy. That is exactly the environment. If you are writing your CV for a leisurely, comprehensive read by a thoughtful human, you are writing for an audience that no longer exists, not in the initial screening phase, anyway.
Right.
And that was Linda's issue. Her CV wasn't weak at all. She had the key capabilities, the years of grinding out successful campaigns.
But she lacked what the sources call ATS alignment.
Precisely. Her experience just wasn't expressed in the structural language that the 2026 screening parameters demand.
But wait, if the problem is simply that the machine isn't reading the experience correctly, the traditional career hacker instinct is to just, hack the machine.
Right, the old tricks.
Yeah, like I remember those old tricks. You take the job description, you copy all the text, you paste it at the bottom of your resume, and you change the font color to white.
The invisible text trick, yep.
The human can't see it, but the legacy systems would read all those keywords and just pass you right through. Or, you just jam your summary paragraph so full of buzzwords that it reads like a tech dictionary.
Just a wall of jargon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't Linda just do that?
What's fascinating here is that the death of those old hacks is absolute. I mean, the sources are incredibly explicit about this.
Especially the data from McKinsey and the US OPM, right?
Yes, exactly. Keyword stuffing is not just ineffective today, it is actively self-destructive.
Self-destructive.
Yeah. Modern AI-powered systems, they do not just count words anymore. They interpret semantic context.
Wait, let me stop you there. Because that completely flips the conventional wisdom on its head.
It really does.
We've been taught for, what, a decade? To feed the algorithm the exact words it asks for. Are you saying that if I throw in all the exact right buzzwords from the job description, the AI is actually going to penalize me for it?
Yes, it will absolutely penalize you, and the mechanism behind it is super fascinating.
Okay, tell me how that works.
Well, the US OPM data showed that legacy systems were advancing candidates who were great at keyword optimization but terrible at the actual jobs.
Oh, right, people who could game the system but couldn't do the work.
Exactly. So to solve this, the 2026 AI systems introduced risk prediction algorithms.
Risk prediction.
Yeah, they don't just look for the presence of a word anymore, they evaluate the credibility of its placement.
But how does software calculate the credibility of a word? I mean, it's just text on a page.
It calculates it through contextual mapping.
Okay.
Let's say the keyword is agile methodology.
Okay.
A 2015 system just scanned the document and said, okay, agile is here 5 times, pass.
Simple enough.
But the 2026 system looks at agile and searches the surrounding semantic network.
Meaning what exactly?
Meaning it looks for connecting verbs, specific timeframes, team sizes, measurable outcomes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. If the AI scans your resume and sees a massive volume of high-value keywords, but those keywords lack contextual framing, it flags your profile.
It assumes you are lying.
Yes. It assumes you are a high-risk candidate trying to game the system.
That is wild.
High volume with low context signals a low-quality applicant to the machine. The AI's risk prediction model actively deprioritizes you. So keyword stuffing literally trains the modern ATS to trust you less.
Okay, so it's like the difference between handing a chef a grocery list of raw ingredients versus handing them a detailed recipe.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it.
Like if I just hand the AI a list that says flour, sugar, eggs, or in Linda's case, growth marketing, SEO, agile, the AI says, congratulations, you know the names of the ingredients, but I have no proof you know how to actually bake the cake.
That analogy captures the mechanics perfectly. The AI is looking for the recipe.
It wants the proof.
Right. It wants to see exactly how, when, and where you apply those ingredients to create a specific result. If you try to use a 2015 grocery list hack on a 2026 system, you guarantee your own invisibility.
Okay, so this brings up a major dilemma then.
What's that?
If the system is guarding the gate and trying to trick this system results in a mathematically calculated penalty, what is the actual weapon here?
That is the million-dollar question.
Right. If I can't use keywords to get past the algorithm, how do I crack the code?
The weapon, according to the Rezit.io methodology, is a concept called legibility.
Legibility, okay.
Yeah. It requires shifting from guesswork to strict data-driven diagnosis. Linda stopped trying to guess what the black box wanted, and she used the platform to run a differential analysis of her CV against live current marketing role descriptions.
Hold on, I need to challenge this.
Go for it.
How is legibility not just a polite sort of corporate rebranding of keyword stuffing?
Ah, I see what you mean.
Like, if she is analyzing her resume against a job description to make it fit better, isn't she still just playing a formatting game for a machine?
It sounds similar on the surface, sure, but the underlying philosophy and the execution are fundamentally different.
How so?
Well, keyword stuffing is about injecting isolated data points just to trick a scanner. Legibility is about structural translation.
Structural translation.
Right. It is taking complex, authentic experience and formatting it so the AI can successfully map that contextual network we just talked about.
So it's not about adding fake ingredients. It's about writing the recipe so clearly that a machine can actually parse the steps.
Exactly.
Okay, let's look at the actual mechanics of Linda's diagnosis.
Okay.
When she ran this analysis, what were the specific leaks in her signal strength?
The analysis highlighted 3 major structural flaws in how her experience was being communicated.
Okay, what was the first one?
The first was that important role keywords were significantly underweighted.
What does underweighted mean in this context? If the word is on the page, shouldn't that be enough?
not for an AI running a chronological timeline.
Oh, interesting.
Underweighted means the skills were present, sure, but perhaps buried in a bullet point from a junior role 5 years ago.
Instead of being featured prominently in her current senior role.
Exactly. The AI uses recency and primacy to weigh how relevant a skill is today. If your core competency is only mentioned in a historical footnote, the system assumes your proficiency has degraded.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. The machine needs to know you are doing it right now, not just that you did it once back in 2019.
Right.
Okay, so what was the second flaw?
The second flaw centered on her impact. Her achievements and outcomes were technically described in the text, but they weren't signposted.
Signposted.
Yeah, so if a human sat down for 10 minutes and read her paragraphs really closely, they could deduce that she led a highly successful campaign.
But no one has 10 minutes.
Exactly. A fast scanning algorithm or a recruiter looking at a screen for literally 6 seconds couldn't instantly extract the specific financial value she delivered.
It was buried in a narrative paragraph instead of being isolated as a high contrast metric.
Correct. And then the third flaw, and this was the most detrimental for someone with a decade of experience, her seniority signals were severely diluted by generic phrasing.
Here's where it gets really interesting. I want to dig into diluted seniority signals because I think this is a trap that almost every experienced professional falls into at some point.
Oh, absolutely. It's so common.
When we talk about generic phrasing, we mean Linda was likely writing out her daily operational tasks, right?
Yep.
Things like managed social media calendar or coordinated with the design team or, oversaw campaign deployment.
Exactly. Those are operational activities.
Right.
They describe what you did between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m.
Right.
But they do not prove you are a leader.
Right. She was acting like a doer, not a director, on paper. And if I am an AI parser assigning a seniority weight to a sentence, and I read the verb managed, I assign that a much lower value than if I read directed or architected.
Yes, but it goes deeper than just swapping out verbs.
It does.
Yeah, it's about connecting the verb to the strategic outcome. Let's look at the structural difference here. The generic approaches: managed multi-channel marketing campaigns and coordinated with design.
Okay. Sounds like a standard resume line.
Right. But the legible high-seniority approaches directed a $2 million Q3 multi-channel growth initiative, integrating cross-channel attribution to decrease customer acquisition cost by 15%.
Wow. Okay. The first one is a checklist of chores. The second one is a ledger of strategic victories. And the AI can really read the difference between those two.
Absolutely. The 2026 AI maps the relationship between directed, the budget of $2 million, the specific initiative, multi-channel growth, and the business outcome, decreasing CAC by 15%.
It sees all those connections.
It does, and it calculates a high credibility score and a high seniority weight based on that network of context.
To build on that, this completely validates why translation is the core philosophy here.
Yes, translation, not rewriting.
Right. Linda didn't go out and take a 6-week course to gain new skills. She didn't invent a new work history or artificially inflate her budget numbers.
No, she didn't have to.
She simply focused on converting her real lived experience into a syntax that the AI's risk prediction model naturally trusts.
She removed the friction. Rezit.io provided the structured guidance to ensure her keyword coverage was placed correctly in her timeline. That her role-level alignment was accurate and her seniority signals were mathematically visible. She took away every possible reason for the system to default to, I don't understand this context, reject candidate.
So we've diagnosed the problem and we've dismantled the old hacker myths.
The keyword stuffing is dead.
Dead and gone.
Yeah.
We know the new weapon is extreme structural legibility. So let's follow Linda's narrative to the final stage here and look at the actual ROI of alignment.
This is the best part.
What actually happens when a candidate stops fighting the machine and starts speaking its language?
Well, the results detailed in the case study represent a complete paradigm shift for her job hunt.
I mean, it had to be.
Linda moved her focus entirely away from listing activities and fully into showcasing legible results. She tailored her applications to ensure loud and clear seniority signals, presented strictly through measurable outcomes.
So what were the immediate numbers? Because we were talking about a search that was at a dead stop. 0 traction, 0 interviews.
Within weeks of deploying this legibility framework, the silence broke. She landed 5 interview invitations in her very first month using the updated CV.
5 interviews in 4 weeks after months of nothing.
Yep.
That proves definitively that it wasn't a shrinking market, right? And it wasn't a lack of desirable skills. It was literally just a failure in data transmission.
Completely.
The gate was always going to open. She just finally presented the correct recipe.
But here is where the strategy proves its ultimate value. The success didn't stop at the algorithm.
Oh, right, because eventually a human has to read it.
Exactly. This wasn't just about slipping past a machine and then facing a confused human who wonders why you were even there, which is exactly what used to happen with the old white text tricks.
Oh, yeah, because if you trick the machine with hidden words, the recruiter would eventually look at the physical document, see a totally disjointed mess, and instantly disqualify you anyway.
Right. But because Linda used translation and structural legibility, her CV was optimized simultaneously for the machine's deep parsing and the human's rapid visual scan.
Two birds, one stone.
The sources note that when she actually got into these interviews, the recruiters were proactively referencing very specific, high-level points from her CV during the conversations.
Because the signposts were finally eliminated.
Yes.
The recruiters didn't have to excavate her paragraphs to figure out if she was qualified. The specific value she brought to the table was served right up to them.
Her feedback loop transitioned from non-existent to highly consistent and relevant.
And what was the ultimate outcome for her?
The ultimate payoff was that shortly after this strategic shift, she accepted a senior marketing manager role.
Amazing.
And crucially, this was at a growth stage company that perfectly aligned with her true career trajectory. She didn't have to settle for a junior role out of desperation.
She achieved true visibility. So what does this all mean? If you were listening to this right now and you are feeling the exact same crushing frustration that Linda felt, here is the core takeaway for navigating this landscape.
The bottom.
In 2026, you do not need to pivot to a new industry. You absolutely must not lie to an algorithm because its entire architecture is now designed to catch you and penalize you.
Actively penalize you, yeah.
Your authentic experience is incredibly valuable. But, and this is the critical caveat, it is only as powerful as its legibility. If the machine cannot map the context of what you did, it will assume you didn't do it.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it radically changes how we view the narrative of the modern job market.
How so?
Well, we constantly hear media reports about massive talent shortages, right? While simultaneously hearing from thousands of professionals that there are no good jobs available.
That's a huge contradiction.
Linda's story illustrates that a massive portion of this disconnect is artificial. Phenomenal candidates are being filtered out every single hour, not because they lack capability, but due to a fundamental breakdown in translation with the machines guarding the gate.
It's an invisible wall.
It is. Authenticity, when combined with absolute structural clarity, is the only reliable path to visibility. You have to bridge the gap between what you know you are capable of doing and what the risk prediction software calculates you're capable of doing.
Which honestly leaves me with a thought that I find a little bit unsettling and maybe even a little dystopian.
Uh-oh. Where are we going with this?
So we've spent this entire deep dive unpacking how these 2026 AI systems are running complex risk predictions. They are mathematically evaluating the context of your resume, mapping the chronological logic of your skill development, and judging the narrative arc of your professional life just to assign you a credibility score.
Right. They are acting as algorithmic arbiters of your career history.
Exactly. So if an AI is now sophisticated enough to judge the subtle context of your career trajectory and assign a hidden risk score to your life's work, how long until these systems stop just evaluating our past and start dictating our future?
Oh, wow. I see what you're saying.
Are we approaching a tipping point where professionals will have to start making real-world life choices, like taking a specific, safe job over a risky entrepreneurial venture, not because it's what they actually want to do, but because they know they have to shape their lived reality, purely to maintain a high legibility score for the ATS algorithm 5 years down the road?
It is the ultimate scenario of the tail wagging the dog. The system designed to passively evaluate reality begins to actively engineer the reality it evaluates.
It makes you wonder who is really managing your career path.
It really does.
Just something to chew on the next time you sit down to update your timeline. Ensure you are completely legible to the machine, but, make sure you are still the one holding the pen.